we're back for more ChatGPT accounting-based shenanigans. If you didn't see the beginner one, go watch that, because buddy, it's about to get, come on, because buddy, it's about to get sweaty. Get ready to impress your friends, impress your mom, and show her why she made the wrong decision. Okay, so first off, let's play with some data. Okay, age-old accountant problem. You got data in format A, but you need data in format B. So every bloody month you go out to this program, you download it, you do some fiddling, and then you re-upload it or import it in this other format into the other system. So I got an example here. App A data structure and app B, like the data structure we actually wanted. We got these weird like date formats from another planet, got this useless ID, and we got a card number in a format that I don't actually need. Oh, and don't get me started on the whole split in the debit and credit, and then you actually need it positive and negative. And then you got a 50-50 chance of whether you got the positive and negative signs right when you import it into the new thing. Oh, well, ChatGPT is actually really good at this. Not only that, you can build these like reusable kind of data transformation conversations. I shall show you. Now, as we talked about in the first video, be mindful of anything client-specific, identifiable stuff that's not anonymous that you're putting into ChatGPT, but this generally isn't an issue with transactions. I'm gonna copy this data, and you know what I'm gonna do next? Just gonna paste it. Just paste it right on in there, the old Control-V. Say, hey bud, here's some data. I need to reformat it as follows. We're using GPT-4 here for reasons I discussed in the last video. I'm paying the $20 a month to get the best model. You can try all this stuff with the free version and it will generally work. But at this point, there's not really any point in me showing you how to do stuff with old technology. Like, we're looking ahead. Okay, I did a shift enter to go down to the next line there. Hey bud, here's some data. I need to reformat it as follows. So what changes do we need to make? Okay, first we need the date to be formatted differently. In fact, why don't I change this just to say, I want to reformat it with the following columns. Date, this is the date formatted as month, day, year, as dates should be formatted.
This is America.
What's next? We want the description. That's straightforward enough. Then we want amount, which is the credit column minus the debit column. So description, amount. This column should be the amount of credit minus debit. It'll probably figure out what that means. And last, I need card, but just the last 4 of card number. Card, the last 4 digits of the card number column. Give me the data in a table. I want to ultimately copy paste this into Excel and so I can save it and import it into the other app. Okay, date, description, amount, card looking good so far. Come on, that's not the last 4 digits of the card number. Okay, I'm just gonna skirt the brakes here. I don't need the full description. How did we do? Dates, check. Description, checkaroo. Amount, looks good. Card, bro, but I only wanted the last 4 digits. You gave me 5. Okay, good to go. I can copy paste this into Excel. In fact, let's give it a try, make sure it matches. Bada bing, bada boom. And the handy thing about that is I can come back and rename this chat and say app A to app B. Next month when I gotta come back and do the same thing, I just plop that fresh set of transactions in there and we're good to go. Now, one thing we talked about in the last video to be mindful of is GPT's context limits. That is, it can only handle a certain volume of data at a time. So you can't feed this sucker War and Peace all at once. You gotta spoon feed it each chapter at a time. So if you got a whole bunch of data, it can do it. You may just have to chunk it up. So ultimately, maybe not a solution for like huge data sets, but for quick stuff, it's pretty handy. But let's say I'm a real dweeb and I wanna create a VB script in Excel to do the same thing. ChatGPT is pretty good at this. It's not always perfect, but it's pretty good. I don't really know VB script. I know some scripting stuff. Like if I really wanted to, I could probably stumble through it, but I've just never done it, so I never think about it. But with Chaz's help, it's not too hard. So I'm gonna tell it, give me some VB script to make the same modifications to my data, assuming the original data set I gave you starts in cell A1, and the sheet is called Sweet Sheets. Sweet Sheet, Sweet Sheets, Sweet Sheets. So I'm gonna copy this over to a new tab called Sweet Sheets. Enhance.
Can you enhance it?
Can we enhance this?
Can you enhance it?
And we're gonna drop a VB script in here and it might work, we'll see. Well, Wow, okay, look at you go. I guess I didn't tell it where I wanted it to put the new data. This is outrageous. Is all of this necessary? The script creates new columns, starting from column G. Okay, I didn't tell it. Maybe I should have told it to start in a new sheet, whatever, and fills it with data from the original columns, formatted as per my request. I'm gonna copy all this code. I'm gonna try to remember how you create a VB script. This is for you. This is so that you know where to put it. No, insert module. I know, I knew that. Got it, we're good. I'm sorry this is so small. Editor, enhance. Insert module, bada boom, bada bing, YOLO. Whoops. Okay, this is something you're gonna get oftentimes, but ChatGPT is actually very helpful for debugging it. So I'm gonna say I got runtime error 13 type mismatch. What does it mean? Runtime error 13 type mismatch, fix yo code. It may have been because the original data in the table isn't the format that it's expecting. Also, I noticed that we're trying to access a non-existing column for the card number. It should be column 5 and column 6. I'm bristling with confidence right now. So they're modifying the script to ensure that we're dealing with numeric data before performing the calculation. If I put on my computer glasses here, I can see it's added if it is numeric, then do that. But if it's not numeric, I still don't know that it actually does it. Let's try that again. Well, it ran successfully. So will it do your VB script like perfectly on the first try? Usually for me, no, unless it's like very simple things. But like here, I would come back and say, the card isn't grabbing the last 4 numbers from the card number column, have it modify that. So it's a good assistant for like massaging something to get it to a point where it's helpful, especially if you don't know VB script. You can actually just like semantically talk with ChatGPT and figure out some scripts. If you fundamentally can't otherwise do that, that's pretty cool, right? Like that's pretty handy. And the other thing it is helpful for is if you are trying to do your own VB script and it's breaking or you're not understanding something, try copying and pasting that code in there and saying, help me debug this code, or how can I modify this to do this other thing? ChatGPT is actually really good at code-related stuff and scripting and all that. Okay, now in a perfect world, we could sit around and talk to our numbers all day. Unfortunately, life as an accountant ends up dealing with just a lot of humans. And we didn't get into this business to deal with humans all day, but it happens. So here's a couple practical tips for like writing emails in a faster way. And what this isn't gonna be, oh my gosh, Tina. This isn't gonna be, oh, ChatGPT, I used it to write a poem in a pirate's voice and I sent it to my friends. Just stop it. This is a grown-up tool for professionals. Nobody's impressed by your pirate haikus. Eyes on the prize here, people. So let's say we got an overdue invoice and we're sending a second reminder. Write a 1-paragraph email that's a second reminder that invoice 243 is due and ask Steve to please call the front desk to make a payment. Now, as Chaz works here, I think one thing we get wrong when it comes to calculating, should I have ChatGPT do this for me or not, is we make this like very near-term ROI calculation of, is it gonna be faster for me to have it do this, or should I just write this whole thing out myself? And what that vanilla calculation misses is what you learn through the process of prompting. So if you're the dude that's like sitting on the sideline right now and is like, well, I know how to do all of this stuff already. Why would I have this ever help me with it if I can do it just as fast myself? And even if that is true and you can do it equally fast yourself, what you're learning right now is absolutely nothing about how to write a good prompt. So through the process of prompting and talking with our friend Chaz here, you're actually developing a new muscle that will become more valuable over time, because GPT-4, whew, whole lot better than the last model we got, and the next model we get, and the improvements they actually make to GPT-4 along the way. It's gonna make that muscle even more valuable, right? So think about this as an investment in you being able to talk to machines better, because ultimately as accountants, that's what we do, right? Okay, I hope this email finds you well. Just wanna send you a second reminder regarding invoice 243. Please call our front desk, blah, blah, blah. Now, a couple other things you can do with this is you can take little snippets and modify them. Say, make them more friendly, or turn this into a hilarious joke about Tom Brady. We appreciate your prompt attention to this matter, just like Tom Brady appreciates a quick pass to the end zone. Am I right? We're looking to resolve this just as swiftly as Brady dodges a tackle. No, if you need further information, we're more open than Brady's favorite receiver on a trick play. Okay, that was much too long, but you get the idea. Now, another context in which I use this quite a bit is I've taken a first stab at an email and I'm usually PO'd and it's not written in a very kind way. So I often find myself coming to this when I'm not in a healthy frame of mind to write professional emails. And this could be just a list of bullet points. Here's an email I wrote. Steve, I've asked you for these documents 4 times now. Send them over. You're driving me nuts. We need to finish up the tax return. I can say rewrite this in a friendly, concise, profesh tone. Come on! Okay, current state of GPT-4 is you can only send 25 messages every 3 hours. You hecking me? And I'm paying for this thing? Buddy, there's a workaround. 2 workarounds, actually. First, we can do what they suggest here and fall back to the quote-unquote default model. That is the 3.5 model. It is the Google Sheets to GPT-4's Excel. Yeah, get in that comment section. I know you are already. And oftentimes that works just fine. This email, totally fine. Good enough for me. But a workaround for this rate limiting is you can request access to the GPT-4 API. And in the past, it took forever to get that access. Now they're giving access pretty quickly. And if you have access to the API, it's like a kind of workaround for ChatGPT where you can work with it in a different interface. Now, when you log into your OpenAI account, you will see this option up here, Playground. Sounds like a good time, right? A little bit intimidating when you first get in here, but here's how it works. First, you gotta pick which type of conversation you wanna have, and chat is probably where you wanna go. That's gonna be most similar to ChatGPT. Then you pick which model you wanna use. I'm gonna use GPT-4. Again, for GPT-4 to show up here, you have to request access to the GPT-4 API. You can do it on their website. Then you got a few other buttons and knobs here. What this temperature one does is impacts the randomness of what it responds with, and so generally I'll dial this down, especially if you're doing data stuff, I'll turn that all the way down. If you're doing more creative stuff, you can leave it up. Maximum length is how long of a response it can give you. Somewhere in the middle is generally fine there. Top P is the P that's the top. Frequency penalty gives you 15 yards if it repeats something. Presence penalty, just a 10-yard penalty, but a loss of downs. So you don't need to worry about those. But behind the scenes, the secret sauce of how ChatGPT works, if you're like a developer making a software program that will then call out to OpenAI's API, what it actually sends is a combination of user messages and assistant messages. So for example, in ChatGPT, this is a user message, this is an assistant message. And so if we wanted, we could copy paste this in here and just like continue this conversation. And then when you hit submit, it will generate the next assistant message. Another really cool thing that Playground enables that you can't do in ChatGPT is set a system message. And a system message is like a contextual over-the-top message that instructs it on how it should be responding. So the default is you are a helpful assistant. But what if what you wanted was you are Tom Brady and you're super hungry? That's dumb. Don't use that. Use something like you're a tax research assistant, or you're an assistant that helps write emails in this whatever professional tone. But this is a YouTube video, so let's leave that and see what happens. Now in ChatGPT, we're timed out. We can't send in any more GPT-4 prompts, but there's one more email test I wanted to run here, and I'll show you what it looks like just in Playground. So I get the whole like counter argument to this, like why wouldn't I just go out and write the email myself? It's gonna be faster that way. You can actually get emails from like very short, concise prompts. So I can literally just say, write an email, follow up on missing docs, deadline next Tuesday. I'm gonna hit submit. Dear recipient, I hope this email finds you well. Following up on the missing docs. I would even made little placeholders there. That's nice. Okay, Chaz, chill out. Keeps chugging along. This is where it's helpful. Tom Brady, got it? This is where it's helpful to actually instruct it on the length of what you want. So I would say like in a 1-paragraph email or 2 paragraphs or something like that. So like a better version of this would have been like, you know, in 4 sentences or less or something like that. Now, one other writing related thing that I use this for quite a bit is for critiquing something that I've written, like a blog post or even a YouTube script. So I'm gonna say, you're a critical editor that provides helpful feedback. And I'm gonna say, review the previous email and list 5 counter arguments or incomplete or insincere things said in this email. Kind of like a gut check. Is there anything here that's gonna make me look like an a-hole? Email focuses on the urgency of the missing docs, but doesn't really explain why the docs are necessary and important. Okay. The statement, I understand that everyone has a busy schedule, could be perceived as insincere. It downplays the significance of the missing documents. Email offers to help expedite the process, but doesn't provide any practical suggestions. All right. These aren't gonna be like all legit, and some will be more helpful than others, but it can be like a helpful filter if there's any obvious glaring issues. You can also do this with like, point out spelling and grammar errors, that sort of thing. Enough talking words. Buddy, we're about to turn this sucker into a full-blown accounting system. I know. Okay, now. Okay, so here's the problem with GPT-4 right now. It's extremely needy. Told you I was going out with the boys. Oh my gosh. Okay, so if this happens, you know the drill if you saw the last video. Okay, unplug it. Just gotta take the power away from that robot, give it 3 or 4 minutes. Usually when it kicks back on, it's totally fine. And I can understand, we all need a little reset sometimes, you know? But listen, the struggles of working with AI these days, it's different. And that's why you need a good IT partner on your side. You see where this is going yet? Has the music started? Start the music. We're talking about Tech Guru, the IT firm for accounting professionals, accounting firms specifically, teams of 5 to, I think, 35 or something like that. That's their sweet spot. And all they do is work with accounting firms. And you know what a lot of accounting firms are going through right now? Change management, software change, getting all their stuff into the cloud, starting to explore new spooky AI technology. Oh my gosh, a whole new set of concerns. And the importance there is with Tech Guru, you've got somebody on your side that has a deep understanding of accounting firms, the stuff we do, the crappy programs we're forced to use, what busy season looks like, the fact that I'm not gonna change that crap in February or January, because buddy, I got other stuff I gotta do, and the last thing I wanna do is talk to you. But if my computer goes up in flames, you better believe you're gonna be hearing from me. So Tech Guru plans their whole annual cadence for you around your busy season, so they can get the heck out of the way when you don't wanna be messed with, and do some proactive planning before you get there. Now, this is gonna get doubly important in the coming years as we're adopting new AI technology, and just the security stuff of everything we're doing is getting more complex. You don't want just any IT group helping you out, right? You need the best. The best. The best. Check out Tech Guru, link in the video description. Okay, rad use case. This might be my favoriteest ChatGPT use case right now, is generating fake data, like training data, like data you can use for training your team and kind of like running different scenarios. So we're still in playground here. First up, we're gonna generate some like pseudo financial statements. So I'm gonna say, generate a balance sheet for a fictional construction company. Now, the one thing you lose with playground is like the table formatting you can do in ChatGPT. It's gonna look all fugly here. And so that is kind of a bummer. That's like the one thing you lose. There's actually some great benefits to Playground. The big one being you're not gonna get rate limited, but if there is a downside, it's that it won't like visually format stuff in a table for you. Okay, so we got this balance sheet here. If I wasn't rate limited, I would probably run this through ChatGPT and copy paste it into Excel so I had it in an Excel file. But we've got like this pseudo company we could do stuff with. We could prepare a tax return with it. We could like try to generate some insights based on what we're seeing on the balance sheet. We can even tinker with this further and say, modify this in a way that makes it clear this company's going out of business in the next 90 days. Okay, don't give away that they're gonna run out of business on the financial statements. Whew, what are you, an auditor? I'm just kidding. Auditor wouldn't do that, am I right? Okay, current assets, 350K. Show me those current liabilities. Get absolutely wrecked. It stopped in the middle of this. The reason, because you're gonna get the same thing wrong. I didn't turn the maximum length up. So I'm gonna say continue. That usually fixes it. You can also remove this message and have it regenerate from scratch. So let's try continue. So it did. So like continue. So the text is kind of wonky, but it continued from where it left off. Maximum length here, by the way, on GPT-4 is about 3,000 words right now. That's like the max that it'll handle at once. Okay, so we got this like pseudo set of financial statements. Another super cool example, a bit of prompt engineering here. We talked prompt engineering in the last video when I shared that like mega prompt about it going out and grabbing additional context for bookkeeping transactions where you weren't sure who the merchant was. This one's kind of similar. Check out this bad boy. I want to generate a set of 5 source documents I'll use to prepare a hypothetical tax return. These pseudo source documents will be used to train employees. These documents should be a combination of government tax documents, just give me a description of the docs and what the numbers are in various boxes, handwritten notes pertaining to their tax info, and organizational email correspondence with info relevant to the tax return. So, government tax docs, obviously in text form, like email interactions, craft this like fictional scenario. Let's do this for a 2021 individual tax return. Provide the details of the 5 source documents below. And I'm gonna change the system message here and say, you are a tax return source document generator. Turn the maximum length up so I don't embarrass myself again. Document 1 W2. One thing to keep in mind with GPT is it is trained on data through September of 2021. So for example, let's say the boxes on a tax form changed, or in 2015, they were different than they were in 2020. The model is trained, in that case, on both of those years' data. So whether it's gonna pull the boxes according to the 2015 form or the 2020 form is a crapshoot unless you instruct it on a specific way. So like a better version of that prompt probably would have been like using 2020 tax forms or something like that. And obviously when it comes to tax work, that's a little bit problematic because you want current information. And honestly, like by the time this video is released, you may have access to a new GPT plugin called the browsing plugin. And it's gonna be a different model you can switch to, just like you can switch back and forth between 3.5 and 4 that lets it browse the web. So what it does is it takes the top 10 web results for your message or something like that and marries it with the GPT response. And so in the case of a tax question like this, it could go out, find more current information about what a W-2 looks like, for example, and merge the GPT in with the correct box numbers, that sort of thing. So all of that is about to get a lot better. Okay, let's review what it gave us. We got a W-2 with all sorts of boxes of info, 85K, some federal tax withholding. Numbers make sense. I didn't give it a state. A better version of that probably would have been and some withholdings for California or Oregon or something like that. But we've got some state withholding there. Got 1099 interest from Big Bank. A handwritten note for charitable contributions. Amount $2,500. Because that is what they would give you. They would say, how much should my contributions be? Or they would say, just put in what you had last year. And then you tell them, and then they write that amount on a note. Just kidding, that doesn't happen. Form 1098 and email correspondence. Oh, look, this is a little email. Here is my information about my freelance income and expenses. Oh, that's nice. So it just made all this crap up off the top of its head. Obviously, you could tailor this more. You could add a Schedule E rental, an office and home, whatever you want. Let's add something a little more fiddly. Let's add a client email that's something where the tax preparer has to kind of read between the lines. So add an email from the client about a sticky situation with the former spouse around the custody of a child. The goal is for the tax preparer to work out who is eligible to claim the child as a dependent. From John Doe to John Doe's account. Okay, so the client is emailing me this. My ex-spouse and I have joint custody of our child, Jane Doe. Per our divorce agreement, we alternate years for claiming Jane as a dependent. Oh, Jane ended up staying with her other parent for a longer period this year. I had her for only 5 months of the year. Our divorce decree states, good grief! That's a great practical real life example of all these conflicting sets of facts, and you have to get to the bottom of what matters and what doesn't. Super cool. How cool is that for training data? Okay, last thing that is very exciting. Let's do this same thing with accounting transactions, stuff that you could pipe into an actual accounting system. Totally made up company, generate transactions to kind of build this fake reality that you can do the accounting for, but also to prove some really cool stuff that I'll show you after that. So I'm gonna say you are a accounting transaction generator. Crank up the max length. I'm using GPT-4. I'm gonna say generate, let's just say 10 transactions for now, from a checking account that I can import into an accounting system for training purposes. The transactions are for a construction business and have the following fields: date, description, this would be the merchant description, and amount. Keep it between negative 20K and positive 20K. Provide the transactions in a code block and CSV format. That's what I would tell it in ChatGPT, because then I could copy the CSV. I'll show you what that actually looks like in Playground here. There's a little triple tick mark, and that triple tick mark in ChatGPT makes it visually be formatted differently. So Playground won't do the helpful formatting here, but we can still copy and paste out of this. Okay, what do we got? Home Depot, ABC Construction Supplies, client invoice payment. So sales receipt, okay? XYZ rental. How cool is that? So you could generate a whole ton of transactions with that. You can ask it to generate certain types of maybe sticky transactions, problematic stuff, and build out this data set of sample data that you could use over time. But why I really wanted to show you this, get ready to be dazzled. Are you ready? Turns out ChatGPT is pretty darn good at functioning as an accounting system. So check this out. Categorize the above transactions to the best of your ability to accounting categories using QuickBooks' default chart of accounts. I don't know if it actually knows that. Then present a trial balance. YOLO! Okay, so it's gonna give us the list with the accounts first. Home Depot, cost of goods sold. Construction supplies, COGS, okay. Client invoice payment, AR. Yeah, I guess. In my head, this was gonna be cash basis, but I didn't tell it that. Buckle up, here comes the trial balance. A big old negative AR, of course. Let's do some quick math. So 4 COGS entries totaling 13K. 2 rent entries totaling 2,700. Right. Office supplies 750. This is super wild. There are situations where I have used this when it's one of those client interactions or they're like, hey, I gotta get some financial statements to the bank. Here's my accounting. And it's a napkin that they blew their nose on. Or they semantically explain in this email the transactions that they've had. Rather than building that out manually in Excel, using GPT to generate something, then copy and paste it into Excel. You still gotta double checks, your debits equal your credits, all that stuff. Give it an opening balance. But I've done some larger tests with this on Twitter where it's got a beginning balance, ongoing entries, developing a shorthand for posting debits and credits to it, even creating bank rules that it remembers and processes transactions according to those bank rules. It will do it. It's wild. The problem right now is, as we've discussed, GPT's context limits. It can only handle so much information at a given time. So there's not really enough volume there to do a huge amount of transactions. But if you had like 50 transactions and you just needed to chuck them into a quick P&L balance sheet, that sort of thing, it'll absolutely do that. In fact, I think it may have even gotten the default QuickBooks chart of accounts right. How cool is that? And honestly, that's like only gonna get better as context limits go up. If a developer like paired this with a persistent database, I'm fairly certain you could build like a GPT accounting system right now. But how cool is that? Hey, have you got like cool GPT prompts you've seen for accounts? I'd love to see them in the comments. We've been talking a lot about this on my daily podcast called Jason Daily. So many cool AI things happening right now, like build your own chatbot on your own documentation, stuff like that. And we're gonna keep the AI stuff coming because this is really exciting right now. Be sure you hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.